Thank you all for coming. It's a privilege to be here. When I think of where we are today and see where I was when I started out, the road has changed dramatically. When I started out, there was very few naturopathic doctors back then, and it wasn't the method that they would go to on the first come, first serve. They would go first to the allopathic medicine, and at the last resort, they would come and they would see what could be done as a naturopath. I found I was dealing with probably 90% of my cases were chronic, cancer, AIDS, neuromuscular disorders, MS, stage 4 cancer, and it was a lot to take for a young doctor to come out, but that was, it seems everyone came to me at that level of severity. And I realized at that time that there wasn't the treatment modality available. Everything that I was studied for and what I really researched for, I could not find. Everything was available either in America, which across the border it was legal. In Canada it was illegal. Even simple amino acids, but my patients needed these products. So when I see today, where you're sitting today, that this school is standing across the street from an allopathic medicine. That school, they treat disease, that's a disease plan. What they do, they treat people with diseases. Here you treat people for health. It's a health plan. There, they treat people for first aid. Here, holistic therapy. There they have loads of side effects. What you do as young doctors is bring the body into a place where it heals itself. And that we can't do more about, because no person can heal and no product can heal. Only we can bring the body into a position where it can heal itself. What we're going to talk about today is pain management. Now, acute pain is pain that goes away after 3 months. Chronic pain lasts more than 3 months. Now, what we're going to see here, this is the Life Choice brand of products, and pain relief, a natural choice. Now, the national pain statistics. In the US, 100 million people suffer from chronic pain. That's almost 1/3 of the population. More than diabetes, heart disease, and cancer combined. The total annual incremental cost of pain-related health care in the US ranges from $560 to $635 billion. In Canada, it is estimated that 6.8 million people, 1 out of 5, suffer from chronic pain. The estimated cost of pain-related issues ranges from $56 billion to $60 billion in Canada. In the next 20 years, the aging population, and I believe much less than 20 years, the number of Canadians suffering from chronic pain is expecting to climb 1 out of 3. Now, I did some statistics here. Now, say you were in a Super Bowl, and this was being filled by only Americans. There'd be 1 out of 3 Americans. There you would have there 18,000 Americans would be in that stadium of 60,000 people. If that was put into Canada and filled with Canadians, there'd be 12,000 people in that stadium of 60 in pain. Now, seniors. We must not forget about the seniors. Seniors 60 years and older, there would be 36,000 people in that stadium in chronic pain. You take them from a nursing home, 48,000 people in that stadium of 60,000 would be in chronic pain. Now, children, they're not exempt. 2% of boys and 6% of girls, 12 to 17, are in chronic pain. So this is a pandemic. This is a condition, until I really started going into the research, I didn't know how severe it really was. But it is critical. It's a critical mass. And people don't talk really about pain too much. They're not talking about their pain, they just deal with it. And we're going to see how they deal with it. Pain and resilience connection. Now this was a very interesting study. Now because the package that we come into life with and we present to everyone, this is our physical body. But it's not made up of just the body. What we are is physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual beings. They did a study, and they were doing that people that would go in for social rejection. So they would go into a dating club and they would set themselves up for a date and they'd be turned down. And the level of pain was that they felt with that opioid release, those were the most resistant to high levels of natural pain. So it says consequently when prescription opioids are taken, this can tamper with the natural process leading to further damage of addiction. So we have the ability within ourselves, and like I always believe that we will our sickness or we will our health. Everything starts first in the mind. Pain, depression, and then death. That's the spiral. Those that suffer from chronic pain are twice as likely to suffer from major depression as those who do not have chronic pain. People with chronic pain on average die 2 to 5 years sooner than those that do not have chronic pain. When chronic pain is not properly treated, lasting damage can take in the peripheral nerves, the spinal cord, the brain, to the point that the body forgets how to stop hurting. And the healing should have occurred, but it doesn't. And chronic pain sufferers are twice as likely to commit suicide. Now there's two outcomes. Despite these statistics, when you go to a medical doctor, it's either it's in your head or they medicate. And how they medicate, they do opioid drugs or that level of products. Now, although Canada is home to some very leading pain research, in 2011, wait times, 1 to 3 years to go see a clinic. Children and adolescents only have a handful of clinics dedicated to them, so you can specialize. So their time is much slowed down. In a survey, 10 major Canadian universities, it was discovered that veterinarian students received 87 hours of pain training, while medical students averaged 16 hours of pain training. So you're better off going to a vet. In other words, the average doctor doesn't know too much about treating pain. And here's where you're dismissed. Because pain is invisible, and by blood tests it doesn't show, bone scans, doctors tend to be skeptical. And they look for a verified form of the pain. So, I mean, if your arm is severed, that's different. But if it's something that you look healthy, they won't believe you as much. So instead of patients may be written off as trying to cheat the system. Not surprising, the healthier, more attractive you appear, the less credence will give to your pain. And women, poor women. Women tend to be more dismissed than men. With this stereotype of men being tougher and alive and viral, their pain is serious. Women are considered weaker, hence their pain is all in their head. This is why often men walk out of the appointments with prescription painkillers, and women walk out with medication for psychologists. They need to have psychological medication, like sedatives or the same. And ironically, Stanford University found that women feel pain 20% more than men. Canadians were once identified as the world's highest users of prescription opioids. Oxycontin and oxycodone is the new one. Alarm at this news led to Oxycontin being banned, but like they have the evil cousin, is right back. It's harder capsule, but they can still make it break down and it still has the side effects. However, opioids are known for their being highly addictive. Even those who do not become addictive, dependency is likely, with withdrawals when medications stop. In the US, opioids have surpassed heroin as a new street drug of choice. What it is legalized heroin. And I know of a person, a young lady, 20 years old, was strung up on Oxycontin, 2 times in rehab, went down to next to nothing, beautiful girl. She has diabetes, and she may lose her limbs because of this, because the addiction is so great that she just can't break it. From 1997 to 2004, the National Medical Expenditure Panel survey found opioid prescriptions for patients with spinal disorders rose 108%. Emergency rooms are parallel prescription numbers, and death-related opioid prescription numbered 4,451 in 2002, more than cocaine or heroin. And besides the risk of addiction, it is suggested that due to the changes it brings in the brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nervous system, opioids may actually increase the sensitivity to pain. There's studies to prove that. So what you're giving for a treatment is actually making you less sensitive. And you can see why the downward spiral. The U.S. federal officials say no drug has been so widely abused after approval like Oxycontin. Side effects of regular Oxycontin use include sweating, headaches, dizziness, weakness, dry mouth, sensation, nausea, vomiting, and those are just the ones they put on the label. Side effects include gastrointestinal effects, cardiovascular effects, coma, seizures, reduced vision, and loss of mental clarity. And withdrawal symptoms include hot, cold sweats, constant pain in the joints, muscles, coughing, heart palpitations, and vomiting, and you don't want to get off. They don't want to get off. They're afraid that they'll die. It's the high is too great. They can't let go. They're looking for answers. In 2001, 3 medical doctors made headlines when they wrote an editorial in the Archives for Internal Medicine. The doctors warned of the dangers of long-term use with opioids and encouraged fellow physicians to be honest with their patients about the limit of medication. They also suggested that the doctors encourage their patients to consider healthier alternatives such as physical therapy and yoga. The CNN covered this story by Jim Heckler, who suffered from pain after falling from a hip surgery. And then or failed hip surgery, he was prescribed narcotic pain medication. Initially, he was told that the narcotics, however, did not comfortable to take them for very long. And then he found a second physician, and he replaced the narcotics and put him on exercise, weight loss, a diet. And he dwindled it down till he no longer takes painkillers. So there's where I say the mental approach. Because when you focus your energy on the physical and the mental, and you become spiritual, then all things work together, and then you can do some marvelous things. There is a different way, and as you know, the natural alternatives show a great deal of promise in treating chronic pain, such as arthritis. Even one study referred to such products as a gold mine. But they don't know what you have here. Across the street, they want what this school has, but they don't know. They just don't know. And that's where I say you are like a beacon. You're like a lighthouse that stands on a hill. And that light that you shine, you may not know. You might take your schooling and but you don't know that your influence resonates through the whole community. And you will give one vibration to one, and to the next, and to the next. And you'll raise the consciousness of the people. And they will get well, and they'll talk about wellness. And one day I hope that we're going to have a balance, where we're going to see not everything to drug therapy, it'll be to natural therapy, and we'll get our bodies back in like a Garden of Eden, back to normal. So the body, absorption is, with life choice, is the difference. And this is where, for natural health products, to have a therapeutic effect, you first have to have the starting position. Like building a house, the foundation is your most important key. You have to lay the foundation with quality products. And I don't mean just look at a C of A. You have to do a lot of research. And you have to formulate a product because the body has receptor sites, the blood-brain barrier, the intestinal walls, and we have to have a product that actually penetrates the blood-brain barrier or any barrier to access, and that's where, like a key is a reliable door. Now you can have a bunch of locks, and you can try all the nice keys, and they may look nice, and they may have actually just about fit, but unless it turns, it's not going to get into the receptor site. And this is where it has to be, you have to use various forms on how to formulate, and that's what we've done. Now, DMSO is one of the products we're going to talk about today. Now, DMSO, as it stands, it looks like a pyramid. Methylation is one of the most important and common chemical processes in the body. And detoxification, neurotransmitters, required for protein synthesis, protects the body, reduces inflammation, it helps protect the mitochondria, restores the level of SAMe, there's another methyl donor, and requires to make coenzyme Q10 and restore muscle mass. Impaired muscle methylation especially influences cancer patients. A common reason people die with cancer is they cannot eliminate their toxic metals and toxic chemicals due to the impaired liver, leaving the toxins to accumulate in their systems. DMSO is a metabolite of MSM. It's a part of that group. It's an organic sulfur compound, and it's a very powerful formulation. It's been out for probably the 1800s. In Russia it was first invented. And it's a natural painkiller and transporter and topical treatment deep into the muscle tissue. This is our label claim that it helps relieves minor burns, including sunburns, assists in healings, minor wounds, cuts and burns, and skin irritations, but it does so much more. And this is where the book on DMSO is so very important, because it tells you how to use it on other treatment modalities. DMSO will go into the dermis up to 5 layers and right into the bloodstream. In 30 seconds you'll taste it in your mouth. In 2001, a study in the Netherlands found DMSO to provide 50% more overall improvement for patients with complex regional pain syndrome, and helps to reduce the pain of reflex sympathetic dystrophy. It reduces the pain associated with musculoskeletal conditions and large joints, such as post-traumatic soft tissue injury, sprains. Now, DMSO has a lot of other characteristics. It will freeze at 18 Celsius. So if you have a bottle and you have it and you take it out and put it in your car, by the time you get there, it'll be frozen. But it will boil at 189 Celsius. And what they've used it for is for preserving organs. You can freeze an organ, like even for cryonics, and it will not crystallize the organ. Very few products will ever do that. They actually done for people that were doing Everest, and they put it on their hands and their feet, on the extremities, DMSO. And what they found is that the body would not get any coldness and gangrene. It all kept warm. In one study, DMSO decreased the post-injury of joint stiffness in rabbits. They used that, and rabbits be able to jump and run again just by using the DMSO. Another study, the U.S. Academy, 10 patients with interstitial cystitis self-administered the DMSO, and all but one responded. This is what the FDA legalizes this product for down in the States. Dr. Morton Walker reports that a Florida woman whose osteoarthritis pinned her arm and shoulders, limiting her mobility, reported that using 1 jar of DMSO, her soreness had decreased and her mobility had returned. It's an amazing product. Now, what we agree, because DMSO, they're using it for chemotherapy agents. They're using it for, it's probably one of the least toxic chemicals or additives that they use in the whole pharmaceutical industry. It is so safe. It's a class 3, they call it, so it's very, very safe. And they use that as a modality for transporting by expanding brings about takes away inflammation at the joints, heals the soft tissue and scar tissue. So it's a very powerful product. And then when you mix it with the Sweet Relief Cream, here's where you get the two-part power, because Sweet Relief is a 12% MSM, a lignosol brand. And then we have the capsicum, so you get the hot, and then you get the cooling effect with so the eucalyptus and the capsicum combined together. And you'll find that it gives you such great relief. Now, it also has a lanolin, and the MSM is the building block of proteins for the muscles, hair, connective tissues. So now I believe that we have a page there, it's called Things to Know About DMSO. And unless you really understand how DMSO works, when you put it onto your body, you'll find a sensation really quickly, and it'll feel very tingly, and you'll start to increase the circulation there, and you'll feel a lot of activity. And if you put it on a large area, you'll feel very uncomfortable. So I would suggest start smaller, and we use a medical grade DMSO. Everything else out there is a solvent grade. So be very careful, because when it transports that far into the dermis, it's going to take with it any contaminants you may have in your hands and on your body. So wash your hands, wash your areas that you put it on, and it will do such marvelous work. And I recommend each of you to get the book by Dr. Morton Walker. What he's doing for it taken internally is incredible. Well, we can't say that because we have a label claim. We have the only label claim for DMSO in North America, a licensed product. Now here they did a double-blind study, placebo, on the effect of MSM on 50 men and women who all had osteoarthritis on their knees. MSM supplementation improved both pain and physical function without adverse side effects. In another study, when taking MSM, had over 80% better control than those on placebo. Here's another product that I've really enjoyed to know over my years and for my patients' use. I've used it myself when I had orthoscopic surgery on my knee. And prior to it, I knew I was going to have the surgery, so I took 4 grams a day for 10 days prior to going to the hospital. When I had surgery, I went under the knife, and when I came up after the anesthetic, I had no pain in my knee. It stays stored in the body. And in the same room, all the other patients in the room were having the same operation, and they were throwing up, they were sick, and they were on morphine. And this product alone was the thing that preserved me, and I walked out without pain, and I could even eat hospital food, but I wasn't going to. Now, DLPA, it's one open study. 78 chronic patients received 750 to 1,000 milligrams of DLPA per day. But on the bottom it says the most effective way is for most patients took a minimum of 1,000 milligrams of DLPA 4 times a day. And what they did is, after 14 days, after it's saturated into the tissues, you can actually lessen your amount that you're going to take. You don't need to take that much of an amount. Now here is how the methylation groups, so we have 3 products that have the methylation groups in it. This is the SAMe, this is the DMSO, and it is the MSM. Now you can see here on the top, you'll see here the SAMe, the methine, and then you have all the creatine, and then you have the DMG, and then all the way down with the releases the ammonia, sulfur, and here is where you get the anti-inflammatory disease. So you can see the whole works, how it's working together in conjunction. Even the arginine and ornithine, the other amino acids, and serotonin and dopamine of course is for pain control. So you can see that the methylation group with an oxygen carrier and a sulfur is a blood cleanser also. Here is the SAMe. Now it helps promote healthy mood balance. It relieves symptoms of pain of osteoarthritis, supports healthy liver function, relieves pain and cleanses the liver. In 1999, the Times Newsweek and USA published a magazine on SAMe. It's comparable to the state-of-the-art treatment for both depression and arthritis. It promotes joint health by contributing to building blocks of cartilage and prevents migraines. But what they also found out that SAMe can actually rejuvenate a liver that's actually have cirrhosis of the liver. So all diseases have an attack the liver. All diseases, all drugs are all filtered through the liver. SAMe is a marvelous product to take with it, and that's why the 5-prong approach, holistic approach for treating pain. SAMe's additional studies, a double-blind crossover study compared SAMe to Celebrex for osteoarthritis symptoms, so equal to the prescription drug. The study found that despite having slower onset, by the second month of treatment, SAMe's pain-relieving effect was equal to Celebrex. The pain relief that came with SAMe treatment continued to increase with time. Why don't you hear too much about SAMe? It's all over the news and it's all advertised because it's not patented. If it was a patented product, this would be everywhere. DMSO, if they could patent it, they tried. Crown-Zellerbach was going to try to patent it, they couldn't patent it. That's why you're not hearing about it. Why the FDA has, for the last 45 years, tried to ban the product from being accessible. And we were the first ones to put it out in December 2011. Schedule F, it came off Schedule F, it was a prescription. We put our application in, and we were finally lucky enough to have the product licensed in a medicinal grade. The healing effect that that product can do to Canadians and people around the world is just amazing. So I think once you start reading that book of Dr. Morton Walker, you'll understand. Here's the mineral that we use in our product. It's called Optical Mag, but it's more of a bioavailable multi-mineral. And what we do with this is we have orotates. Is any of you familiar here with Dr. Hans Niepier's studies? Orthomolecular medicine, that he used that. Now, Dr. Niepier was a brilliant scientist, and he was putting together how he could have, one of his most famous was lithium. When he took lithium as an elemental form, in a drug form, 90 milligrams he needed to be able to be effective to cause the same effect that he wanted to have. When he put it into an orotate form, he used 5 milligrams without the side effects. So the orotate is, like I say, with the open up the receptor doors. That has an access, can actually enter the reception sites. So what we've done here, we have calcium and magnesium orotates. We have MK7, we have the vitamin K2 with MK7. We have the vitamin D with the boron, and it is the most bioavailable available at all. Actually, it will take away tooth sensitivities. If you have tooth sensitive, you use this and you won't have the nerve endings on your joints and on your pain. So it provides optimum calcium magnesium balance, supports proper muscle function, alleviates muscle cramping, and of course there's a host of things that K2 strengthens bones, helps protect against the prostate and liver cancer. And vitamin K intake has been found to protect against cardiovascular disease and healthy women. So as a multi-mineral, this is a great product because it actually helps to help with the receptor sites. Now, in conclusion, the DMSO gel, the Sweet Relief Cream, and the DLPA, the SAMe, and the Optical Mag is the 5-prong approach. It's holistic approach. If you try to release that type of toxins in one area, you will stagnate the liver, or you'll have the bladder. So what you have to do is you have to have this in this way. So with the DMSO, because it's a sulfur-based with the oxygen, you're going to find that this combination works extremely well. Actually, we haven't had not one person, and I've used this for many, many years, that have not had recovery, some form of recovery, most dramatic recovery by using this protocol. And that's what we have for conclusion. Thank you.